you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're listening to the Mix Official. Welcome to the big show. As always, for nearly 20 years, we've been bringing the Chris Voss Show, or 3,000 episodes. We are, in fact, the oldest broadcasting podcast that still does daily podcasts. There's a handful on the left, and we are the only ones doing daily. So we're live and kicking. We're kicking hard. So refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book success. Today, is a young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book entitled Christmas Treasures. The Greatest Treasure is in the Heart by Bruce Spohn. We're going to get into it with him and find out all the deets and what he's talking about in his wonderful book he's presenting today. He was born in 1947 in Lancaster, California, near Los Angeles. His parents moved to the Bay Area. And after graduating from high school, he joined the U.S. Air Force. After basic training, he went to San Antonio, Texas, and then Germany in 1965. Life in Europe appealed to him, and he stayed in Germany for, 40 years. He finally returned to the United States in February 2006, I should say. And as luck would have it, he was sent back to Texas, where he worked for the government at Fort Houston. He began writing when he was still in high school, but never published. In 1999, was involved in a near-fatal car accident and woke up in an ICU a few days before Christmas. He felt inspired to write a story to send to his friends as a special Christmas gift. Let me just skip that. So welcome to the show. How are you there, sir? Bruce?
I'm fine, Chris. How's it going?
I am doing excellent. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interweb, sir?
I do have a Spohn author at vwx.com. I can't remember. I just click on it. But my books are all available on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon, up in the little search window, type in books by Bruce Spohn, they'll all come up.
All right. Sounds good. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside this book, sir?
Oh, this book is a strange book, primarily because it was never designed to be a book.
Oh.
Like you mentioned, I wrote it as a little Christmas story to send out to my best friends at Christmas time. And they're little short stories, nothing real earth-shattering. After the 9th year, one of my friends said, these stories are kind of nice. Why don't you put them together in a collection and see what happens? And I said, I'm kind of shy.
You're kind of shy.
And she smiled at me and said, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
I said, I'll put it that way. So I went back and I rewrote all 9 stories. And if you read the whole book, at the end you'll understand why I rewrote the stories.
Uh-huh.
And each story, there's 9 of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're written once a year for 9 years.
And so you wrote them once a year for 9 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Christmas only comes once a year, right?
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Then each year I wrote another story to send out to my friends.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Each story is complete in its own. It stands all by itself.
And how many stories do you have in the book?
9.
9 total. Okay. And people can read through the short stories and stuff. Now, the short stories, do I have that right?
They're all short stories, and they're easy to read. And you can read them to your kids because there's no dancing Santa Claus. There's no singing Christmas trees. They're not Hallmark Hall of Fame cheesy things. These are all stories about people like you and me. They're trying to deal with Christmas. Because Christmas isn't like it was when I was a little kid. Although the first story in the book is about me as a little kid, me and my brother.
Huh.
And
There you go.
I'm one of the main characters throughout the book.
Now, are you in the main characters of most of these, or is there a main protagonist, or is there different people throughout?
There's different people throughout, but I pop up in several different stories.
Okay.
As my pseudo character, Sam. Let me read Sam. That was me. Sam was a little kid playing Suits Nighters with his brother at Christmas time. Sam was a air policeman stationed in Germany for the first time away from home. At the time, Sam played Santa Claus at the local department store. So Sam pops up several times. There's another character that pops up a couple of times, and sometimes they know people, but they didn't know they knew each other. It's kind of like life. You know me, and I know you, but you might know somebody that I happen to know. And that's how life is. We interface with people, and we exchange ideas, and we grow, and we prosper from other people's points of view. And that's what the whole book's about. Learning the value of the individual. Superheroes don't wear capes. Superheroes take care of their friends. And that's a key point of the book.
The key point of the book. So now the stories you mentioned, some of the stories were set in Germany. I know you spent a lot of time there. How did you define your characters? You use compilations maybe of people that you knew there, or?
Like I said, Sam is me, but the other people are people I worked with. Sometimes they're just fictional characters. I said, I need a person to be that person, and I make them up. The thing is, each person has a point of view, and they interact with other people in different ways. I never lived in New Orleans, but I wrote a book about it, about Katrina, and the damage that was done to the city. And
really?
Katrina went away, but the damage remained for a long time. And people's lives were impacted by that storm for a long time after the storm was forgotten. And there's a story about a woman that's trying to get her life back together, even though it had been torn apart. She'd lost contact with her family. She'd lost her house. It was completely demolished. And yet, Christmas came, and people came together and shared with a stranger to help them celebrate Christmas again.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? And so these, I imagine all these stories circulate around the idea of Christmas and everything else. Is that correct? It seems obvious, but
it's primarily Christmas, but it's a book you could read any time of the year. It's not specifically you have to wait until Christmas time. But the message is family, tradition, sharing, and caring.
All the important stuff.
Year round.
All the important stuff.
That's why it's in the heart.
So give us are there any future books coming out or sequels to this book, maybe?
Oh, I play around with the thought of putting more Christmas stories together, but that's complicated. I haven't had a lot.
Are you still writing stories?
Yeah, I wrote a second book called Lovers by the Lake, which is about two lovers that get together late in life. They're in their 50s. They're baby boomers. The girl's from California, the guy's from Texas. They don't meet each other until they're in their 50s, and she happens to be in Texas, and she meets him.
Oh, wow.
In a bar, and they find out that, hey, they like to talk to each other.
Yeah.
She doesn't know him, and she doesn't know her. They didn't go to the same school together. They have no real common background. So she comes up with the idea, it's kind of hard for us to sit here in the bar and communicate. Why don't we go someplace where we can be alone and talk about our past so we know who each other are? I don't know if you're the Texas Chainsaw guy.
Yeah.
So they agree to go to a lake for a vacation. And during the time there, they're supposed to sit down and start talking about their life. She says, I'll make this simple as I can, and we need to have a starting place. He says, how about 1961? She says, that's the year I started high school. And he laughed and says, the same year I started high school. And she's, you're 2 years older than me. And he says, oh, this part of my life story. I was born in Texas, and in Texas, football is not just a game, it's a way of life. And my dad wanted me to be a football star like he was, so he held me back a year. I started kindergarten late.
Oh, really?
That's a famous trick in Texas.
Oh, wow. That's wild, man. That's wild.
You're bigger and better than the other kids. You're in the same grade, right?
Yeah.
And then he had to repeat the fifth grade because he flunked out. Made it 2 years behind. So when he got to high school, he was a big kid. And he made the varsity team the first year.
Oh, wow.
But
So he was probably the strongest kid out of them. That probably played in good for him.
And his dad made him run everywhere. He
made
couldn't
him run
walk.
everywhere.
He had to double time everywhere. So
Oh, wow.
he became a running back.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to tell the whole story.
Yeah, because people need to buy the book, and of course, novels. They
But
gotta.
that's where his background is. Her background is she's from a very conservative family. His parents met during the war in the Boeing airplane factory. He got hit in the invasion of Normandy and got blown out of an landing craft. Survived to talk about it, but he was discharged because he was medically unfit. So he went to work for Boeing because he was a metalsmith, and he met Molly the Riveter.
Oh, really?
And they were putting B-17s and B-29s together.
Oh, wow.
And they got married.
Ah.
And during the war, women were kind of required to go to work.
Yeah.
A lot of women didn't really want to work. They wanted to be the traditional housewife. Stay at home, cook meals, and be a mom. And that's what she went back to. She did not want to work. And they had discussions with her. The little girl heard them talking about it. And like I said, they're very conservative. And a woman working outside the home was like the slippery slope to divorce.
Mm.
Broken
That's
families,
interesting.
all kinds of bad things.
Uh-huh.
So that was her background.
Oh.
And the fun thing is when these two get together and they start talking about their past and the concept of the things that happen during your life have a tendency to bend you and shape you to become the person that you end up as later in life.
Oh, boy, that's true, isn't it?
So you see how each one of them, they take turns. They talk a while and they, I can't talk anymore. It's your turn. And they switch back and forth. So each chapter is one person's tale about a certain part of their life. And it's sort of like Christmas Strangers in many ways.
Oh, wow.
Because you're talking about two people that have different life experiences. They're getting together and they're trying to figure out, why do I like you, and why should I like you, and why do you like me? And as a football player in Texas, he was raised with the idea that anything that wore skirts belonged to him. And he was hesitant to bring that up because he didn't want her to think he was a typical jock.
Okay.
And she just chuckled and says, I had a football team in my high school too. And he says, had you been in my high school, I wouldn't have talked to you. You weren't the kind of guy I wanted to go with, and I definitely wasn't the kind of girl you wanted to go with. But we're not teenagers anymore, and you're not acting like a football player, and I'm not acting like those goody t-shirts anymore. Let's get on with the story and tell me how you got to be who you are, and I'll tell you how I got to be who I am.
Oh.
And it touches, in order to give people a roadmap, I use historical events that we all know and can remember. Like when the Nautilus sailed in the San Francisco Bay the first time. You may be too young to remember that. I was in high school, and there's a lot of protests. A lot of protests because it was a nuclear-powered submarine.
Oh, okay.
And there's still a lot of argument going on about nuclear energy, nuclear bombs, nuclear war. And there were big protests in Berkeley. Big protests. And then one thing that came out of this that a lot of people don't realize it came from there was a thing we call the Peace Medallion. You know, the circle with the kind of starburst in the middle. That's a symbol that was used. The circle is an ancient symbol for unborn life.
Okay.
That figure in the middle, when it's turned the other way around with the arms facing up, that's life. That's a living man. When you turn it upside down, it symbolizes death.
Oh.
So the symbol represents the unborn child is dead.
That's not very good, is it?
Well, it's not because they were concerned about nuclear energy and the fallout and what happens.
Yeah.
With it, you know. And to this day, they really don't know how much radioactive fallout is really dangerous. And we're still arguing about that. But that's one milestone. Then another milestone is Kennedy's death. And another milestone, there was a shooting at the University of Texas from the big bell tower. He was a student at the University of Texas at the time, and he was trying to figure out what in the hell is going on. Kennedy was assassinated, and then this idiot's up in the bell tower shooting students. But he was a football player, and he didn't really pay too much attention to what was going on, but this is bugging him. So it's a constant bombardment of different historical events that shape people's lives, and then some trivial ones like Sweet 16 parties, senior prom. We've all been there. We've all done that. But events on those occasions have an impact. And like I said, the Christmas book was inspired by a lot of my personal experience. Believe it or not, when I was in the Air Force, I was an air policeman, and I had to do foot patrol in the back of the PX to guard the presents that people were putting on layaway for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And it was snowing, it was cold, it was the first time I was ever away from home. I'd only been away from home a couple of months, and I was lonely. I was cold. I was miserable. And then off in the distance, I heard young voices singing Jingle Bells.
Oh, wow.
Because this is one thing that people don't really understand, is how the military really takes care of its very people. Going to Germany brought their wives and children. They had their own schools, they had their own theaters, had their own theaters. It was like Little America. And they had their own Girl Scout and Boy Scout troops. And here these girls are out on a cold winter night, marching up to my guard shack, singing Jingle Bells. They stopped in front of the gate, and the mothers that were chaperoning them opened up a box, had a big thermos of hot chocolate, and a little bag of cookies. Gave me hot chocolate and cookies. And then the girls sang a couple of Christmas songs for me.
Oh, wow. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Why do you like short stories over long stories?
Short stories, they don't have to have a great amount of drama and a real deep meaning. They're just fun stories. They're easy to write. 1 or 2 days, it's done. I don't have to go back and remember, what did I do on page 5? And I'm writing around page 400 now.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a whole lot easier, doesn't it?
One of my instructors at high school said, one of the worst things you can do when you're a writer is write a murder mystery, and then on the last page it says, the butler did it. But nobody in the neighborhood had a butler. Because you forgot to put that detail in there earlier.
Helps to put the details into things there.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that, because this is one thing that always irritates me when I'm watching movies, especially monster movies. Godzilla is a good example. One scene he's about 10 times bigger than he is in the next scene.
Yeah?
Because their special effects guys couldn't get the dimensions projected correctly, so they kept changing sizes. Or Superman. One scene, he's having trouble fighting some guy. The next scene, he's demolishing a meteorite. Why did he have trouble punching a guy and have no trouble punching out a meteorite? Little inconsistencies like that kind of catch me. One movie, I really like the movie. It's called The Martian. Guy gets stranded on Mars, and he plants potatoes and grows them. The thing that kind of got to him was every time he needed something, there was another plastic tarp there. He must have gone through 20 or 30 plastic tarps during the movie. Now, on the space program, every ounce of weight is really critical for the mission. How many plastic tarps do you think they're going to pack on a spaceship? And why did he have live potatoes? They would normally put dehydrated potatoes on it because they're lighter. But, only people like me sit there and go, that don't make no sense. But that's how I write stories. When I write a story, I go back and make sure that I don't put any stupid thing in there.
That's what's really great about some of these things is you can take and really enjoy them from a lot of different formats. Yeah. What else do we need to know about the book that maybe we haven't discussed, or maybe I should ask you, and how you mapped it out, created it, did different things like that?
On the short stories, really easy. I get an idea for a short story. One of the short stories is based on a letter to the editor in the Stars and Stripes newspaper. I read it, and the guy was complaining that he was really upset with the Boy Scouts because they didn't have any Christmas trees this year. All they had was holiday trees.
Holiday trees.
So he was upset, and this was a guy really writing to the Stars and Stripes, letters to the editor, complaining about this. So I wrote a story about it. The Christmas tree, first of all, in the original nativity scene, there is no pine tree in the manger.
Wow.
In fact, the Christmas tree itself didn't get invented until much later in Austria and Germany.
Oh, wow.
And when the Pilgrims got to America, they outlawed Christmas.
Right.
Because they thought it was pagan. It was all about packages and everything except Jesus. They didn't like that idea.
Yeah.
And the Christmas tree itself, originally, it got in and migrated to America, and there was one tree set up in the middle of the town square, the Christmas tree. And nobody had a tree in their house.
Oh, wow.
But eventually, people thought it was a real neat idea, so they started getting smaller trees to take indoors, and that's where the Christmas tree came from. You have to go to Europe to find out about Christmas.
That's a whole different thing there at the Christmas thing.
First of all, I tell you that what we call Santa Claus is a derivative from a guy called Saint Nicholas.
Yeah.
He was actually a real guy. He was a cardinal, and there was a city in Turkey where he lived. And because he was a cardinal in the Catholic Church, he wore red vest suits, but he didn't have a floppy tassel on top. He had the red hair.
Oh, yeah?
And he went around at Christmas time giving candy to orphans, poor children. And he couldn't carry all the stuff with him, so he had this not too terribly bright assistant. And his name was Klaus.
Klaus.
As in Santa Claus.
There we go. There's the...
America got all these traditions that kind of mashed them around and came up with, I said, you have to go to Europe to find out what Christmas is about. And Christmas, they have a thing called Nicholas-Tag. It's on the 6th of December, and the kids polish their boots and put them outside the door. And if you're a good boy, you get a girl, you get candy. If you weren't so good, you get a stick to get spanked with.
Sounds like a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, go ahead.
And do you have any future release dates for books?
I've been working on one for quite a while, and it's really an interesting book. The working title on it is called Yatahe.
Now, give me that to me once again. What was that?
Yatahe.
Oh, what does that mean?
That's an Indian word, and it translated into English is, how's it going? What's up?
Oh, okay.
Sort of like aloha or ciao.
Oh, wow. I learn something new every day on the show.
If you go to an Indian reservation and somebody says, Yatahe, say, eho.
Oh, last time I went to a reservation, they said that to me. I just said, I held my hands in the air and I handed them my wallet. Because I was like, I think I'm being robbed. I think that's what's going on here. I don't know.
But this was inspired by a woman I met on Facebook. We were chatting, and she pointed out that she was a full-blooded Native American.
Oh, wow.
And she was born on a reservation. And she says, a lot of people confuse reservations with what you see now with the big gambling casinos and stuff.
Yeah.
Says the reservation she was on, dogs didn't even want to live there. It was terrible. It was in Colorado. She says, in Colorado, it gets cold in the wintertime. And we didn't have good houses. She says, finally, my parents got smart and they moved to California. They were living just outside of Oakland, California. But she says she still goes to the powwows. And they're interesting because that's where their culture is exchanged. That's where they dance, where they sing, where they play the drum. And the drum is not just the drum, it's the soul.
Oh, wow. Yeah, your soul gets into it.
Yeah. He says, they don't let just any old guy pick up a stick and start beating on a drum. You have to earn your place.
Ah, that's really important. And do you have an anticipated release date for that, or are you still in the works, I guess?
I got about 250 pages written.
Oh, wow. You're coming along pretty good then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes back to...
This
book is actually the third part of a series. The first part of the series is called Dark Dig. It's about an archaeologist doing an archaeological dig outside of Athens. The second part of the series is called Convalited Conswcidences. A lot of the characters from the first book show up in the Philippines. They're looking for some kids that are missing from a missionary camp. And they go through all kinds of convoluted coincidences.
Convoluted coincidences.
Yeah, everything gets twisted up. Like, why is this guy here? And they all come together. They meet some new characters in the book.
Ah, sounds like a wild time then. Sounds like a wild time.
While we were in Athens on this Dark Dig thing, they link up with a private security force, and they become real good friends. In fact, one of the characters marries one of the security guys. It turns out his name was not really Silver Man. His name was really Silver Wolf, and he was a good buddy of the chief of the Indian reservation that was fighting the feds to maintain their identity as a cultural center. They're trying to get archaeologists to come in and do some digging to find out if they could prove that they've been around longer than the United States has. So they call up the archaeologist that was doing some research in the Philippines, and he brings his friend, the guy from Athens, and the crew gets together again in Oklahoma at the reservation.
That's pretty normal.
We start exploring some things about shaman or medicine man, the concept of shape changing. This old woman, they call her Grandma Bear. She's like a spiritual rock in the reservation, and she knows that Chief and a couple of the main people in the council are flying back from Oklahoma City. And it's a dark, stormy night. And she stands at the airport staring out the panoramic windows, and she sits there and concentrates and becomes an eagle that soars out and puts its wings over the plane so it makes a safe landing.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty wild thing to have happen.
The thing is, you never know if it's really real or if it's just imaginary.
Huh?
All you know is the plane landed safely.
Sometimes you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right?
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you believe it, it doesn't make it if it's real or not. It happened.
So give us a pitch out to people to order up your book, whatever .com's website, social media, or emails you want them to use to get in touch with you.
Just go to Amazon.com, type in books by Bruce J. Spohn, and the list will pop up. I think there's 5 of them listed there. I collaborated with a woman to write a book. It's called There Was a Girl. It's based on her life, but there's a lot of fantasy in it. But it's a pretty powerful book.
Oh, wow. That's pretty wild. So people can get involved that way. They can know all the stuff and get involved.
Like I said, read the books. They're fun. They're multi-level. Oh, that was a few story level. Wow, I never thought about that. Oh, wow, there's really something else involved here.
There you go. It's been wonderful to have you on. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I know you're a busy person, and it's really good to have a chance to talk about my books. And you give me a chance to talk about all my books.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it, too. Folks, order up his book wherever fine books are sold. It's called Christmas Treasures. The Greatest Treasure is in the Heart by Bruce Spohn. Pick it up now and all that good stuff, and keep an eye on what he's up to in the future. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.